Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Comets Showcase. I'm your host, Greg Nakashima, and I'm here to introduce you to the coaches, the athletes, the alumni, all who have done a big or are doing it big here at Sacred Heart High School. Now, though we're a small school east of downtown LA, I'm here to share their stories. So like me, you can get inspired by their accomplishments and their challenges they've gone through. So without further ado, let me present to you our next guest, who's from the class of 2007. Now, she was a three-sport athlete at Sacred Heart High School. She was the outside hitter and back row digger for volleyball, a guard and sometimes small forward for basketball, and also ran the 400 and 4x4 relay and the long jump for track and field her freshman year. She became the volleyball captain her later years in high school and was also involved in other things. She was active in student government, the Ambassadors Club's she was involved in Bachelor Club, and she was also the Letterwomen President. She then went on to attend Cal Poly Pomona and received her degree in civil engineering. She then attended USC, where she received her master's in business administration. She now owns her own business, a real estate business, doing redevelopment and projections in the greater Los Angeles area. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you on our show, Amanda, formerly known as Bustos, now Amanda Fornelli. Amanda, it's so great to have you on our show today.
Thank you. I love the introduction. I appreciate it.
Yes, no, this is awesome. This is so cool because one, you were a three-sport athlete, very involved in Sacred Heart High School, who has gone through bachelor's, master's, gone through different jobs, and now you own your own business. This is wild. This is so cool. I want to get into all of that. But like first, tell me what it's like to own your own business. I know a lot of students that are currently at Sacred that are actually entrepreneurs right now. Like I know one student who is doing her own, selling her own thing. And then there's another one who's baking and in entrepreneurship. So this is really cool to have you on the show so they can hear what it's like to own your own business.
Awesome. Well, I'm really happy to hear that there's some entrepreneurs at Sacred Heart right now. I wasn't that ambitious. I didn't start my business in high school, but I started this real estate business a couple of years ago, and it's been a wild ride in all aspects because any business owner will tell you how challenging it is, how difficult, the emotional roller coaster, but it's super, super satisfying. It's great experience. I'm learning so many skills running my own business, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to grow this business and also do it with family. I run a business with my husband and my brother, so that's another a really great aspect of the work that I do.
Wow. How did you get into it? What led you to, because as you said, this was something that you weren't thinking about in high school, but then it eventually came to be something that you're doing now. So how'd you fall into it?
Yeah, I've had a really interesting trajectory since high school. In high school, I knew I wanted to study engineering, and it was because one of the teachers at Sacred Heart that she really exposed me to it. But I studied engineering and I worked in industry for a while. And I knew I wanted to get a master's in business. I really wanted to understand both technical and business side. So I worked in corporate America for 10 years and things happen. 2 years ago, my last company laid off a bunch of people and I was let go. And at that point, I had a decision to make, and that was, do I want to go back and work for another corporate job, which would have been totally fine, or do I go do what I've always wanted to do, which was start my own business? And at the time, my brother had been working for another company and was kind of over it. And so we kind of put our heads together and we were talking about what are the things that we can work on. And real estate sort of just fell in our lap, and we met a lot of people in the industry who told us about it. And we thought it was a great way to transfer our skills from our previous work into a family business, which him and I had always wanted to start a business together. And then my husband jumped on board as well. And we put our heads together and said, let's do this. Let's go all in. So I decided to not go back to corporate America, and pretty much put it all on the line. And we started a real estate investment business, and we do residential fix and flip projects. So we buy residential homes, we renovate them, and then we put them back on the market.
Wow. Would it be the correct term? Forgive me if, there's a little bit of arrogance, but is it like flipping homes? Is that like in the world that
Yeah.
you do, or is that?
Yeah, you would call us flippers. People call them flippers. I don't mind the word flippers. I think there's so much more to it. Like, we help a lot of people along the way. We're really changing lives. So flipper is a good word in terms of what we do, but it's so simplistic. There's just so much more to what we do. But yeah, effectively, we are flippers. We flip homes.
See, because that's, on the home TV, like, they always talk about, people that flip homes, and it's so glamorous and it's so cool, and people are like, oh, I want to do that too. But as you said, there's so much more to it. So tell me more about like that other aspect that people don't think about or know about, or like TV doesn't really talk about because it's not a part of that, them. But like for you, what is that other part?
So there's such a big aspect in terms of people. The people aspect is really huge in buying real estate. The TV shows show you, okay, this is the house we bought, and it's falling apart, it's ugly, it needs to be updated, and they go through the wonderful transformation, which is one of my favorite parts. We love transforming properties, but the other part they don't talk about is, who did they buy that home from? Why did that person need to sell their home to an investor in the first place? And those are the things that are not talked about. So we're pretty much problem solvers. We work with sellers and with homeowners who really need to sell their home, maybe because they can't sell it to a retail buyer. Maybe it's in a really poor condition and they can't afford to fix it. Maybe they want to downsize. Maybe they want to move out of state. Maybe they're going through a hardship where they really need to sell their home, and we can come in and help their situation. We help people who are in pre-foreclosure. We help them avoid foreclosure and ruining their credit. So these are the situations that are not talked about, but we love helping people get out of tough situations by being able to purchase their home with really, really flexible terms. So there are a lot of really great stories that I can talk about in terms of transforming lives, but that's like one thing that is not talked about and that I personally really love as part of our job.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like you're making a huge difference in like the certain, like these people who like really need some help, and you're able to provide a service. And like you just said, like you get to like transform people's lives and really help them out, which is really, really awesome. I have a question. Being in the, like serving in this way, is this something that like you developed, or like Sacred Heart High School helped develop? Like, is there a connection there? And if so, how did that form?
Like the service aspect?
Yeah.
So I guess I've always been a person of service. Since I was in middle school, all through high school, I was very involved, participating in a lot of things, volunteering, and this is why I probably didn't stick to engineering. I loved engineering. I loved it. It was so awesome. But something was missing for me that I realized, and that was I really wanted to help people directly. And I didn't feel that necessarily through the work that I had. It was more displaced. So yeah, I mean, I would say that it was something kind of innate that I had, but that in high school specifically, I was able to groom a little bit, is that part of me, that service aspect, that leadership, that learning how to work with people. So that was really obvious in high school, and I started to develop it more throughout the last 10 years. So yeah, I would say that was a really big part of me, and I was trying to tailor my career in a way that I could really enjoy what I'm doing, but also help people along the way.
Very cool. So since you're talking about like innate and like back in the day, let's go back there where you were first generation immigrants coming to LA, big family. Tell me what that was like growing up in LA with your family, moving. Well, you were born here, but with your parents who had moved here.
Yeah. My parents are both born in Mexico, and they came when they were young. They both met here, and they had 6 kids. And so I was one of 6 kids, first generation students. It was crazy at my house, as you can imagine. And it was really interesting because my parents, they worked blue collar jobs, and they worked really hard. And one of their main priorities was to make sure to send us to a private school and a Catholic school. So them putting 6 kids through private school was like a really a testament to to my parents and their hard work. So it was really interesting to see them really work as hard as they did to put us through school, and help give us a lot of the opportunities that were available to us when we were growing up. So it was really interesting growing up also in like Lincoln Heights and Highland Park, and being all over LA. It was a lot of fun. I would say it was a little bit in my bubble for a while, and then once I left the area, I started to expand a little bit on my knowledge and my experience, because I was in that little Lincoln Heights bubble for so long. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I'm really proud of all my siblings. We've all worked really really hard to take advantage of what my parents brought forward for us. So yeah, it was a great time, and I still love my crazy siblings to this day.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. There's so many students that have similar backgrounds in the sense that, their parents came or their family came and immigrated to LA, and their first generation. What would you say were some of the challenges that you faced growing up, being in high school, and how did you kind of overcome those?
Yeah, as it relates to having immigrant parents, I mean, I actually talked about this recently with some other students, but it's so interesting because our parents were constantly at work. Like my dad worked, swing shifts, so we didn't see him as much, and my mom worked all day, and maybe other students with more opportunity, or who have parents who have had a different upbringing or past, maybe are able to sit down with their kids and help them with homework. So that's not really something that I had. Either my parents were always working, or my parents couldn't help me with homework. My dad, I think he like studied to 8th grade. My mom finished high school, and then they worked after that. So they couldn't really sit down and help me with homework, whereas maybe other students or other people have that opportunity. So I had to really figure it out for myself. I had siblings who could help me, of course, but I really relied on my inner circle at school and my friends to help me when I was stuck in school. So that was one of the challenges, especially of being of immigrant parents. But I guess, contrary to that, is they instilled in me like really, really hard work ethic. So that kind of made up for some of that, and I was able to push through and do really well in school.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so great. So then, being involved in sports, like when did that begin?
So thankfully my older sister, she's 4 years older, also in a Sacred Heart. She really got me into sports when I was young. So she was teaching me how to shoot a basketball when I was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old, right? And I was at Little Sacred Heart. I went to Sacred Heart Elementary, and I think I was 8 years old. I must have tried out for sports the first year that I could. So I was playing sports at the age of 8, and I pretty much never stopped throughout high school. And so I found a love for it. I'm so happy that I did, because it really helped me learn how to work out. I learned how to take care of my body. I learned how to work on just generally being healthy, discipline, all of that. So that carried on into high school, and I was pretty good. I was a pretty good athlete, and I loved it. That was really what I looked forward to. I mean, school was great, but I really look forward to 2 or 3 p.m. when I can run to the gym and start practice.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what it was like to run to the gym, because, as you know, this is the second year we've had our gym, which we haven't been able to use that much because of the pandemic. However, last year was the first year. So What
Yeah.
was that like being a volleyball, basketball athlete primarily, and then of course track and field? But what was it like for you back in your day?
Ah, it was such a big part of my life. I look back and I think, my goodness, I was working out, I was practicing 3 times a day, almost sometimes 6 days a week, because sometimes we had to practice for tournaments or whatever. We did Saturdays or summers, so it was a huge part of my life. And so for all of you girls that are listening who are current students, we did not have the gym back then. So what we would do is, after class, depending on the coach, one coach would drive by. We would throw all our backpacks into the back of his car, and he said, "I'll meet you there." And we would put our running shoes on, and we would jog to Lincoln Park. We would jog. I don't even know how far it was. I mean, it was at least a mile, but we would jog to Lincoln Park. We would get there, and then we would start practice. And the jog to the park did not count as our warm up, by the way. They're like, okay, now we're going to start drills. Now we're going to start suicides. Now we're going to go run with the cross country team, and then we'll start practicing. So it was interesting, and I know it was really frustrating for a lot of us at the time, but it was probably good for us. But that was the kind of experience we had. But the camaraderie was amazing. Some of my best memories are because of Sacred Heart High School sports.
Wow. Okay, so tell us like one or two memories of your favorite sports memory.
Oh gosh, I mean, there's so many, but just like the rides to the tournaments or to the basketball or volleyball games with my friends, we would just be like, in the back of the van, just messing around, being funny. Like those were so much fun. You're just constantly laughing. I think those simple, small moments were great. Also, having meetings after we just won a game or a tournament, that was awesome. That camaraderie, the friendships that we built, was those were some of the my favorite memories. I don't know if I have a very specific one, but yeah, I think in general that's what I remember most, is being with those friends that I played sports with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask this question because it's always interesting. So you're from 2000 and what was it, 3 to 2007? Is that right?
Yeah.
So who were the rivals? Like, who was the school that would bring the most fans to?
Oh God, I think it was Mission. We always had like this rivalry between us and Mission, and some of the girls were like, "Oh, I don't know if I like Mission girls," and vice versa. You know how it goes with high school kids, but I think it was Mission for sure. And then sometimes, we would go to like other tournaments, and we would just feel like this extra level of, I don't know, competition with some of the other schools. Like I think went to like Gabrielino a few times, and but I think the one most consistent was the Mission girls. But it depended too on the sport and on the season, because sometimes, as you know, uh, one school would climb one season and another school the other season, and then the next year they weren't so good. So like it really depended on the season and the year. But yeah, there was a lot of rivalry and a lot of competition. I look back and I think about how, I mean, we were really aggressive girls playing sports. Like I came out with black eyes, broken fingers. I mean, you name it. I did not hold back, and none of the other girls did in that league, and it was awesome.
That's awesome to hear because Mission, as I'm hearing from different generations, Mission is one that tends to drop in a lot, especially 2000s and the early 20 to mid 2010s, 15s, etc. So it's really interesting to hear. Like, wow, Mission has been around for a good amount of
Yeah.
time, which is really was really interesting. And
Yeah.
then you were involved in leadership, like president, team captain. How did that experience really help you out? Because I know sometimes students are like, I don't know if I want to be captain or in leadership. But how did that really benefit or help your life?
So I'm a big believer in becoming like a well-rounded person. So if you're extremely dedicated to being an awesome athlete, why wouldn't you do the same to be a great like student, for example, or a leader? I think it's all tied together. So I was really involved in leadership organizations and student government, even outside of sports, but extremely involved also with like GAA and Letterwomen. So I a lot of the times I was asked to take on leadership roles because maybe someone, a coach or a teacher, saw that leadership ability in me. And so I took on those roles also because I was encouraged to, and I was glad that they asked me to. So it was being a leader, especially like with Letterwomen, taught me discipline. It taught me communication. It taught me how to, understand and interact with other girls. It was really a great experience. And I highly recommend that everyone take on some sort of leadership role, participate, volunteer, because it's just going to make you a more well-rounded person, and it's going to carry throughout your life and throughout your career.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And leadership positions really just give you a great experience of how to work with people. And when you're the lead, there's a different feel from when you're not. And so you said their senior year of volleyball, you were the captain.
Yeah.
What was what was different about going into your senior year as a captain versus like mid years when you were just, you weren't the captain?
Yeah, it was. So one thing that I did before this that I hadn't done in a long time is I looked through my yearbooks, and I was just trying to refresh my memory on a lot of the things that I participated in. But I realized that so senior year was great because I was volleyball captain, and I will say right now, volleyball was my favorite sport. I was great at basketball, but I loved volleyball, and I was so excited to be captain. But I was also a little bit sad because I realized, and I confirmed this, that there were no other seniors playing that year. I was the only senior who decided to continue playing volleyball, actually volleyball and basketball. And so I took on that role as captain, and I was so grateful for it. And I led a lot of amazing teammates, but it was also a little sad because I really wanted more seniors to be playing with me. But either way, I mean, it was a fantastic experience. I loved being captain. Because volleyball was my favorite sport. So giving that captain hat, being given that captain hat felt amazing, and going into it from not being captain and going into captain was, I don't know, it just felt like all my hard work had paid off. So I was really grateful for it.
That's so cool that like you were able to have that accomplished, like, yes, all this hard work and I finally get it, which is really, really awesome experience.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to hear what were the lessons that your coaches taught you years ago that you now still use, you still incorporate in your life. Like what were those lessons?
Wow. First and foremost, discipline. Being able to work, being asked to work out even when you didn't feel like it, being asked to watch what you eat during lunch so that you don't screw yourself up for a game. Just discipline, self-discipline in general was something that carried over. Some of my coaches were like really hard on us, really hard on us. And in hindsight, I needed that. I needed the discipline. I needed the structure. And that's something that I carried on. And also persistence, obviously, that was a big one because if we lost a game or didn't do so well, hey, guess what? We would pick up and practice again the next day and play again, the next game. So those are the things that carried on for me. And just in general, like learning about working out. I learned so much as high school kid, learning about just my body and how to just engage in physical activity. And that's something that I'm so grateful for, because even since then I kept working out. I kept a love for sports and athletics. Like I picked up other skills, and that's something that I'm so grateful for, because as you can imagine, a love for physical activity will be so important throughout your whole lifetime.
Yeah. Wow, amazing to hear how like your health habits and like exercising has been like something that just continues to influence you. And this came from back in high school, which is
Mhm.
just really cool to hear. And so when you think of Sacred Heart and your experience there, what are like these takeaways, these big takeaways that are like this is, when I think of Sacred Heart, like I think this is why I love that experience.
I would say, it was a small school, right? And I had a small class, but that really gave me a chance to shine and to um, really work on both on my academics and my athletic career. So I, I look back at Sacred Heart and I'm really grateful for the opportunities I had for leadership to hone in on those skills and really just be able given an opportunity to shine and see what I was made of, because that helped carry me through. So I look back and I'm grateful for Sacred Heart, especially because of the athletic program, because I really truly believe that every student, every young student should at some point be put into an athletic program, because it just teaches you so many life skills. And I look back and, like I said, the fondest memories of Sacred Heart were because of sports. So I'm really grateful for that.
Wow. That's great to hear. I love hearing about people who just like sports, because I mean, being a product of sports myself, like, yeah, it has helped me so much. And it's so great to hear how, you know, Sacred Heart High School Athletics has just done so much. And, you have done so much for, Sacred Heart and your leadership and all the things that you did during your years there. And it's just really incredible to see where you're at now. So, I just want to thank you for being a part of this show. And before I go into a few other questions, if anyone would like to get a hold of you, I mean, you own your own business, one thing. So for people who are like, hey, what's that like? Or, that want to talk to you more about your business and the real estate that you do, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, please do reach out. If you can come talk to me about real estate or Sacred Heart or anything in general. I love meeting new people. I have an Instagram and it's _, Amanda Fornelli _. So pretty easy to find. And you can also visit my company's website. It's www.nopaliproperties.com, NOPALI properties. So yeah, come by, send me a message. I'd love to chat.
Very cool. Very cool. There you have it. So, okay, last couple questions. One is, if you could give advice to seniors, all right, seniors that are like about to go into college, what advice would you give them?
First of all, don't let senioritis take over. Second of all, whatever passion you're feeling right now, whatever excitement you have, keep it going, carry that through your life. If it's a love for sports, if it's a love for a certain subject in school, if it's a love for giving back, whatever it is that you feel like, just know that that's really a part of who you truly are in those years. So carry that through your life and don't let it go. Carry, if you, like I said, going back to athletics, if you really feel that you love sports, you love working out, don't let that go. Keep it going, carry it out through your life, because it's a really, really important skill for you to have. And it's really, truly a part of who you are. So carry that on, don't let go. And, just always remember that feeling that you had in high school when that certain thing made you really happy.
I love that. I love that. And then the last question is, if you could go back to freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior Amanda, whatever, maybe think about like, well, whatever year was the toughest for you, or along those lines of, high school is not always easy. And so there are some challenging times. Which grade Amanda would you go to? And knowing all you know now, what would you tell her?
Man, that's a tough one. I think senior year was the most like prominent year for me, because I took on so much in terms of leadership, but I also was preparing to leave and I was applying for colleges. So all of that was, I mean, it was just a really important year for me, also in terms of friendships and family. So if I had to go back and tell my senior self something, I think it would be, just to, I think the same advice that I just gave, just to remember what it was important to me at that time and keep my love for athletics going. I think I let go a little bit of that aspect of my life after high school, and I wish I held on to it a little bit longer. So just wishing that I had kept again some of those passions that I had my senior year and carried them on into those years after.
Wow. Well, there you have it. There you have it. Thank you so much for being with us, Amanda. It was great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And like I said, I really appreciate this opportunity. If anyone wants to reach out and say hello, I'd love to meet you.
So great. So there you have it. The Comets Showcase, where we bring to you the amazing individuals who are either currently at Sacred Heart or that once came through Sacred Heart. So stay tuned next week as we bring to you another guest. Stay tuned. Next time, this is the Comets Showcase. Peace out.